Stop copying everything the pros do. This might seem ridiculous because you want to go pro, so shouldn't you, well, see what the pros do and do that? While even though a lot of the time you can learn a lot of good stuff from the pros, there's two things that are terribly wrong with copying exactly what they do. Think about this pro's whole journey of going pro. There used to be a time where they sucked at everything and didn't even have a chance against the average player in pubs. Then there was a point where they were okay at fighting but just had no tournament experience. Then there was a time where they were doing decent in tournaments but they just could not do good at all in like actually stacked tournaments. And the best thing he could have done for practice in each one of those stages were completely different. At some point he needed to focus on the basics like building, aiming and editing. At some point he needed to just focus on learning from pros. At some point he needed to just grind out as many scrims as possible. And at some point he needed to just focus on versing actually good players in 1v1s. The problem here comes in when you see this pro today doing the practice that's best for him at this current stage and then think, okay, time to copy every single thing he does day to day. You personally might need to like focus really heavily on just becoming decent at fighting so you can just qualify past these open level tournaments. But then you look at this pro and almost all he does every day is just get on for scrims and then get off. By the way, sometimes pros do this because they just want to put all their mental energy every day into improving their game sense. And then you come along and start copying what he does and only play scrims every day because that's what's going to make you pro, because this pro does it right now, right? Now, I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I just want you to realize you might need to be focusing on different things than the pros do, or even spending more time on the game than pros do. Because maybe you can't afford putting all your mental energy into these 3 hours of scrims every day like they do, since you still need to put in heaps of time into practicing your fighting but also playing scrims at the same time. Because you might not be at that point where your fighting is good enough that you can just only focus on scrims every day like the pro does, you know? Now also, just because a pro does something or recommends something for improvement doesn't mean it's always the correct thing to do. A pro could have done 90% of the things correct on his journey to going pro, like fighting better players and having a heavy emphasis on scrims, but with the other 10% maybe he did like an hour of free building every day, and now he recommends that because he did that every day on his journey to going pro, so surely it helped him, right? Even though it might have done something little for him, nah, it was probably a part of the 10% of things that he didn't really need to do, but it just didn't really end up mattering at the end of the day because he did the correct thing 90% of the other times. Now you might see that and copy him and waste heaps of time doing something that isn't actually useful. I just want you guys to be skeptical with any information given to you. Yes, you should listen to someone above you because most of the time they're going to put you on a better path than you were before listening to them, but just because they're above you doesn't mean they're going to be 100% correct. They're human too.